everybody is, is aware about the conflicts in the Middle East. So I will go through the main objectives of some specific countries in our region, and then I will talk very briefly about some conflicts. And going through all of that, then I will end up with recommendations to Korea, maybe as I'm a guest in Korea right now. Some of you are international, but we are guests all in this lovely country. So, before I start, I would like to show you something, how I see, the world are doing. This is the world, right? Then, these are which are so-called the three global powers: China, Russia, and the United States of America. Then, these red balls, let me say, like pin on the neck of the other side is blue. These red balls are affiliated or pro the two big powers, which are Russia and China, mainly, I can say. Look at the locations. And then you find the blue balls. They are more pro United States, right? And the United States, as you see, is here. Okay. So, United States, we believe that there is one strategy, but we believe it's headed, maybe I'm wrong, so-called liberal hegemony by the United States. When I asked some United States academics, they told me, no, we don't have this here. And this, what I called it, is a global triangle. How? Like this. See, this triangle is coming from this Europe, GCC, and Iran, and then East Asia. Why? Do you know what is the relation here in this triangle? These are two castles of industry, this and this. Not all of Asia, East Asia mainly, with all countries of East Asia, and Europe in general. And to make these two castles work very well, so we need energy. So here, right? And if the energy in dollars, so here there will never be inflation, something like that. Print dollars as you want, and then people will use it. You, as Korea, Japan, Taiwan, and all in blue balls, they are on security, common security ground with the United States. But they are competitors economically with the United States. And here's it. So this triangle, I think, from offshore balancing strategy of United States, I think they think this way. And that's why everybody is surprised with Trump, because he is losing the security ground in the time he is fighting with the economic ground. It should be economic competition, but security coherent, but now he is losing both more and more. When it comes to the second triangle in the Middle East, I come from global view and come to my region, right? Middle East. You will find these three countries: Turkey, Iran, and Israel. If you remember, I started with the three global powers. Somebody consider Russia is not global power anymore. It's something like regional power, even middle power. Middle powers, they have partially influence, but self-industry, I can say, self-depending or reliance on themselves. Here, I believe only two main countries, they are regional powers. But about Israel, it's qualitative regional power, not quantitative and qualitative together. Why? And here it takes me to tell you why I have to go to the third triangle, this one, which is Turkey, Egypt, and Iran. Israel is very small. We consider it as dwarf state. So geographically it's small, demographically it's small. no internal strategic depth. But these three countries, this one 1 billion kilometers, this more than 1 billion kilometers, this 750,000 kilometers, square kilometers, I mean. This one, 110 millions, I think. This one, and this one, I think about 90 million to more than 100 million. That means if you are 90 million and above, you are giant demographically. If you are between 20 and 90, you are middle. If you are below 20, you are dwarf. So that's why, if I am not really regional power, I have to be qualitative regional power. What is the difference between them? I can be qualitative regional power, but for short term, not ever for long term. If you ask Japan today, ask Japanese decision makers inside Japan, because they are pushed to fight, by the way, China. If you fight China tomorrow, who will defeat us? You know what is the answer? We will defeat China in the short term. But China will defeat us in the long term for two reasons. Number one, which I told you, we are qualitative compared with them, they are quantitative and qualitative. Second, they are dictatorship. Dictatorships, they don't change the president. So if you don't change the president, so you will continue with the decision for long, maybe forever. But when you bring new prime minister, new president, as you do even in your country, so one of them will change the decision, you will surrender, or you say, we select peace and continue. So that's why qualitative power is not enough for long term when you have enemy in front of you. And this leads me, take me for the next step with Israel and how they think as qualitative power. And even I told the Israeli ambassador in one of the meetings, it was actually a closed door, but I was a member of this meeting, because you are qualitative power, you are driving our region to disaster. How it comes. I believe this is like the common interests, of Israel. Like to have a close, coherent with the United States. This is very important to them. But not only the United States, but also with all what's so-called now Western camp, and it was so-called before during Western Soviet Union time, West camp as well. Second, they need to secure their vital area, very important to them. Improve all economic, political security. You can tell me this is normal to any country, but when you have small strategic depth, internal strategic depth, you have to enlarge your external strategic depth. That's why it was really important goal for them. And then superiority of Israel. This qualitative superiority try to substitute, as I told you, the shortage or the disadvantage of the size and the population size as well. Size of the area and population, and normalization. Normalization is very important for Israel. Did you think before what is the difference between normalization and peace accord? Okay. For example, Korea and Egypt normalization. We didn't fight each other before. So we have all types of relations, political, military, economic, social, security, whatever. It's normal. Same between United States and Korea, United States and Egypt. This is normal relations. But peace accord, it's between two countries who are in war and they are still don't trust each other. So Egypt and Israel, they are not normalizing. It's not complete normalization. It's just peace accord. And that's why they're trying to increase normalization even with Egypt. Because, like for example, we don't have defense attaché from Israel in Egypt, right? We don't have close relation between the both armed forces, no mutual exercise, no blah, blah, blah. There is no social, no visits from culture, people. Tourists, fine, no problems, but I hope you understand what you mean. So Israel is seeking to have normalization with all surrounding, which is very, very good idea for them, for sure. And when it comes to the other one, here something really important to them. Iran and Islamic terrorists. Not Islam itself, but Islamic terrorists. Because they believe Iran is a far enemy and proxies of Iran is a close enemy. And this is really important to them.
And that's why, and the proxies of Iran, which we call it proxies, they are non-state actors, like Hezbollah, like Muslim Brotherhood, Salafi jihadists. They believe that they are, like, as is going on right now, it's like threat to Israel, right? What about the current objectives? After 7th of October, 2023, I believe like this. First one, it's the title of my lecture, Changing Balance of Equation. By the way, look at this. Why I selected this title? Not only because it's the main goal of Israel. USA, when it comes to USA, they have 5 main strategic objectives. I was just talking before this lecture, one of them very important, which is the last one I think, which is maintain the balance of power in the Middle East and in every region. Like we want to maintain the balance here. This is a part of the general or grand strategy of the United States. We have to, we were discussing that we have 15 regions all over the world. I mean, the United States sees geopolitically 15 regions. So in each region of these 15, it must be balanced. No one is stronger than the other because we maintain our strategy on balancing, stability, no fighting each other, and then we can see our main enemies or main competitors, big difference between both like Russia, China, Iran, and some others, okay? So in this case, Israel always say Obama is the enemy of Israel. He said so. Biden is enemy of Israel. Trump is the close friend to Israel. Why? Because he is the one who broke this equation of balance, Trump. But Biden refused to break it. Obama refused to break it. That's the reason, because they want to break this balance. By the way, when the United States give any weapons to any allied country or partner country, like new aircrafts or missiles, if you go inside MOFA of the United States, especially MOFA, the one who approves that in coordination with Pentagon, with National Security, Bureau or so, you will find 2 words. That this action which we are doing, number 1, not to affect the national security of the United States, number 2, not to break the balance in the region. You will find it written this way. So that's why Netanyahu is breaking the 5th strategic objective of the United States, and this to make it unbalanced in that region at that time, right? Because why? What is the balance, for example, between Egypt and Israel? Egypt is very big, but at the same time there is a buffer zone which is B and C, okay, between in Sinai, if you heard about it. We call it no forces like DMZ, you know. And why? Because Israel is very small, and Egypt will need long time if they really think to attack Israel. Also, when they give Israel some weapons and equipments more qualitative to confront the quantity of Egypt, which is very big. And this is normal, this is fair. But the unfair is to make everybody around Israel nothing, no power, dead. This really a headache, not only to the United States, but to everybody in the region and outside even. So when it comes to second, really they think about immigration. Why? Let us think, if I were Israeli, why I think this way? If I were Netanyahu, especially, think his way, his mentality. Because you prove that you are a threat to me. Sometimes I exaggerate that, but at least now I cannot sleep. 7th of October is a reason. So now you are a threat to me. So no threat to me as Hamas or any non-state actor attack me, but all as Palestinians. Take all of your people and go out. Then I can relax. And put yourself in the shoes of the Israeli people in this case, you will be happy. Because no more threats anymore. Because what is the vital objective of any country? Prosperity and security. So now you are maintaining these 2 points, then thank you so much. Also annexation, and see he is continuing on annexation. And this annexation, because of to support immigration, and immigration will support annexation. So when I annex like West Bank, when I annex even Gaza, then this will support my goal to immigrate the people outside, they go wherever they go. And also they think in a very important thing. This is my guessing, it's not information. Do you remember when I told you in the common objectives of Israel that they think about how to have United States as permanent ally, still, but how to not to need United States within a decade, to depend on ourselves. But at the same time, to keep on making United States need us in the region. This is a very important Israeli way of thinking right now. And Trump is very smart, and he doesn't know that. I think so. So, when I talk about Iran, okay, Iran would like to say what? As Israel is my enemy, she would like to show me always the source of instability in this region, right? No, I would like to tell you, I'm Iran now, that the main source of instability in this region is the unfair way of Israeli with the Palestinian, which no Palestinian cause is marginalized. So I have to prove to you that this is wrong, and we have to do something together. Also, as you want to normalize with Saudi, no, I don't want you to normalize with Saudi, because Saudi with its money, its middle power, remember, is 30-something billion. It has middle size as a country. It's a big country actually compared with others. It has the biggest oil, ever. So in this case, when you are together as enemy of mine, that means really big disaster. And also it will strengthen the strategic depth of Israel inside, and that's what I want. And they would like to have to be besieging Israel surrounding. How? Let me explain this to you. The really Iranian very smart. They think about what we call it two bridges and heart. Two bridges and heart. The northern, let me say, not northern, the northern or western bridges and the southern one. The northern western bridge is from Iran to the Mediterranean Sea. The southern one from Iran to the Red Sea. How can I breach this? It's by my proxies. So if I have Hezbollah in Lebanon and Syria, which are overlooking the Mediterranean, and if I can have Egypt with them, but Egypt never accept that, to have Egyptian Hezbollah, for example, or any type of influence in Iran inside. Whatever, if even we increase our relation with them for some reason, but never to do that. And the second breach to Red Sea through Houthis in Yemen, and the heart is Iraq. So with this coalition, as you call it the Shia coalition, then I can besiege Israel from these bridges, and I can be very important influential in the region. One more thing I didn't add here, but I have to tell you because just I have written about it. Venezuela. What is the relation here? Venezuela, a big activity of Iran and Hezbollah is here. They give them drones, they give them ships, right? And also they support Brazil, they support Bolivia, and some other, Cuba as well, and some other Latin American countries. And remember, why is more emerging now? Because this is hitting the backyard of United States, Latin America. And this will make Trump very, very, very nervous. But at the same time, you will continue killing the bigger coalition of Shiite, everywhere. Let me say Shiite influence, okay, even in Latin America. That's why they concentrate much. When I was giving a lecture in Honduras, it was a strategic rivalry in Latin America. I found that the main competitors, United States, China, but not Russia, Iran, in Latin America. You can imagine what Iran doing this way. Okay, when it comes, what is the current, as you see? Survival of the regime. Because it became really very afraid after what happened. But really, trust me when I tell you that everybody in the Middle East would have to support survival of the Iranian regime. Maybe you could be surprised, like Saudi is the main enemy, Emirates the main enemy, Egypt who cut tie with Iran. Why? Because if Iran really became very weak like this, and Israel is increasing its qualitative power and influence, which is not capable to do that, so for a long time, remember, so it will be disaster. Suppose that collapse of the regime in Iran. Nobody knows something. Iran has two strengths inside. When I talk about the power, I'm not. They have economics, they have energy like oil, they have nuclear program and nuclear capability. They have a lot of things. But who protects that? Is it the Mullah regime, Khamenei, or is it Revolutionary Guard? Khamenei without Revolutionary Guard is very weak, but Revolutionary Guard without Khamenei is very strong. And this can answer I always question why Israel would like United States to participate in total war against Iran as they did against Iraq. If you remember in 2003 and so on, 2005. The main reason is to defeat the Revolutionary Guard. The main strength of Iran. It's not the governmental armed forces, the Revolutionary Guard. And if Americans have war, it must against Iran, it must be not only air, it must be ground, and that's why please watch Iraq in the coming time. Because it will be through Iraq, which is bordering Iran. So they want United States to participate in that. And that's why they need to survive, because Presidential Guard would like to survive with the regime, but they know they are the one who is protecting the regime. Okay. Then 5 main strategic objectives in the United States. This is even I mentioned in my book and my second PhD. Number one, they are not in a row, but let me tell you, like, for example, confront terrorism, counter-terrorism for sure, and I tell you why. They believe, the United States, that the terrorism is break the balance which they try to maintain. Also, to protect maritime, routes in the region for the trade for the world. And that's why, if you remember, Trump always says, you have to pay that I'm protecting your oil also. Protecting. And by the way, it's not smart when he said that. Because it's in dollars, as he told him, and at the same time, I get surprised, really, when Trump says, I may withdraw my forces from Korea, Japan, and so on. My opinion, maybe I'm wrong. Who will be the first one panicked if the American forces withdraw from here? China. Surprise, huh? Because maybe in a few months, disregarding your constitutions, your rules, whatever, but I think you have the capability, and Japanese as well. Taiwanese have some other problem, but they can. So I don't want that as China. He knows that it's a big difference between that you are here to protect us, we have to pay to you, or you are here because of the offshore balance to protect your strategy. And he doesn't understand all of that, I believe, Mr. Trump. And as I told you, this is continuing as a U.S. opponent to its competitors and enemies, the 3 main which I mentioned, Iran, Russia, and China, and maintains a balance of power. It's very important to the United States. By the way, the United States, they see the world geopolitically, 15 regions, but security-wise, geostrategically, 6 regions, 5 continents, and the Middle East. And they try to maintain the balance in each of them, especially in power, as I told you. I believe that Mr. Trump is not thinking within a strategy. I think so. I think he's thinking within specific dimensions. I think there are some personal issues concerning him. By the way, I believe that Trump, Erdogan, is number 2. Putin, Netanyahu. These 4 countries, institutional countries. 3 of them, democratic countries, right? But those 4 leaders, especially, those 4 leaders, their persons affect the decisions of the country more than the process of decision making, the normal decision making. And that's why, really, it's very difficult when you expect what he will do exactly. But especially Mr. Trump, because he believes that whatever he decides, everybody must follow. Like, you agreed and you have to follow. And this is his personality. And when he decides anything, it must be against Mr. Biden and Mr. Obama, maybe Kamala Harris. Like, look, how much they are bad, that's why I'm good. The third one, I think, we believe that not only me, some analysts, they believe it's because of his own and American interest. Maybe this will help his companies after he finishes his tour of duty as president. And I think he does not believe in the American values, strategic values. Democracy, rule of law, freedom, alliances. He's against alliances. He believes nobody should be my ally or partner. He should work for me. He thinks this way. And that's why he doesn't believe in this. By the way, if you go to any national security strategy in the United States, you will find these so-called strategic values, and he does not believe in that. That's why I couldn't find how really the United States think. So we believe that if I'm finishing between Israel and Iran, we believe that we have like 6 scenarios. So maybe it will be like escalation, but with stability of the current situation, not increasing the conflict. This is one of the scenarios. Also, maybe regional escalation somehow, which will be really dangerous. But it will be limited, not that big one. Then maybe another Israeli strikes against Iran will happen. This wasn't the whole objective which I told you. I could conclude this. And if I go to the fourth one, maybe it will be like, again, confrontation between Israel and Iran, somehow as Iran especially, but bigger than the one before, maybe limited regional war. This is really very important. What does it mean, world war or regional war? In any of them, it has to have 2 main elements. Number 1, alliance against alliance. Number 2, in different spots in the world. Like, for example, it was Warsaw against Axis, in Second World War, and they were in East Asia, they were in Central Asia, they were in Africa, they were in Europe. But now, this cannot be repeated, even in regional size or regional level. So I don't think big countries will fight each other in this region, but anyway, it's one of the scenarios. And then the 6th one, which could be total war, which is the main desire of Netanyahu. Let me tell you here, Netanyahu, he sees 2 areas, or 2 places or 2 areas. One of them is 0, he doesn't like it. Other one, he adores it, he wants it. The one he doesn't like is full negotiation and peace between the United States and Iran. The second one, total war between the United States and Iran. That's why, if you notice why he attacked Iran in June this year. Because I want to involve Trump. How can I involve Trump? Trump, he believes that he is greedy, he likes success, so I will do qualitative strike with my qualitative power, depending on 4 pillars. Four pillars. Number one, intelligence. Very strong intelligence I have. Number 2, ultra-high technology I have. 3, strategic planning, long-term strategy. He was planning for more than a year when he was doing that. Number 4, a very guaranteed assistance and support from the United States. And this one, he wants this kind of, notice something, the United States never support him when he attacks. He support him when he is defending. But I want him to defend. I want Trump, to attack. How can I do that? If I make this strike with my 4 strengths I have Netanyahu, succeeds, so Trump will be greedy, will be happy with it. Then I want to be part of that. Come join me. And then 2, 3, 4, 5 soldiers from the United States killed, bombers come, not only for nuclear programs, but to attack. Even not only bombers, but maybe ground forces. Thank you. And here is and then we go to the second zone, which I need to go for total war, and then Iran is finished. Okay? So I'll talk briefly about Syria and the escalation in front of Turkey. Let me tell you, when I talk about Syria, Turkey, and Israel, and my dear friend more specialized than me in this issue. But anyway, I will tell you my perspective. Syria is a big country. Syria is strategic depth to Egypt. You know that? When during October War 1973, so Egypt and Syria were fighting Israel from north and south. Syria now is failed state, not even fragile state. You cannot make it unified country even for the long term. It needs long time because a lot of reasons actually. Okay. Turkey, if you notice, what Turkey needs, you want a coherent Syria. Israelis, you want a divided Syria. It is not because they love Syria or they hate Syria. No, not like that. But because I don't want any bigger strategic depth surrounding me anymore. I have a very strong, yes, let me say, peace accord with Egypt. Egypt is strong, but if it's along beside me without a strong country like Syria, it will be nicer for me as Israel. So, and also Israel, when it's like it, is source of threat, especially it's bordering Iraq, bordering Turkey, and remember, Turkey with Erdogan especially considered enemy to Netanyahu. As a sponsor of Muslim Brotherhood, with this Muslim Brotherhood is not good or nice or friend with Israel as at all. So in this case, he doesn't, but Turkey concentrate more north and west of Syria. Israel concentrate more west and south of Syria. So everyone, both of them now, if notice even when you see any programs talking about that, when you research yourself, you will find both separated somehow, still separated. That means even though both of them, again, I mean Turkey and Israel inside Syria, even though both of them are against each other, their strategy and agendas inside Syria against each other, but they still keep the rivalry not to reach conflict, just within competition on the agendas and strategies. And here you find a country like Russia, believe or not, that Israel supports the existence of Russia in Syria. I think so. If you disagree with me, you can say, right? Why? Because I will support you as Israel, support Russia to exist here. Remember, the main enemy of existence of Russia inside Syria, Macron. Because this is very important to Sahara, like Mali, like Chad, like this Niger and other countries, which I lost my influence. And when your existence in Syria can support Russian influence in Syria can support Russian influence in Africa, West Africa. And that's why he doesn't want him. As Israel, I am not happy with Macron anymore, or even like before, so I have to support the existence of Russia, but what is the benefit? What you will give me? That you will guarantee to me what you guaranteed 10 years ago. Number one, you will not give Iran's S-400 air defense. That's why I have superiority by air above Iran. Second, don't give Syria strong air defense to keep also superiority above. See how much it's really complicated, right? And that's why if I were Korea and I am inside Syria, I have to be very careful. My opinion, just be low profile, your economic interest, development interest, don't try to interfere in these security issues. And if even you would like to get closer and nearer inside Syria, you have to talk to both Turkey and Israel before doing anything. Just talk to them. My expectations from this, I think, that the low intensity conflict, between Turkey, it's why I call it low intensity conflict, because this is what the United States actually pro-Turkey forces, right? They are fighting Kurds, and Kurds are supported by Israel. they are supported mainly by the United States, but politically mainly by Israel. But I think maybe hidden support will be to them and to the Druze as well, and some other, tribes or families or whatever origins inside. Because, by the way, Kurds also, maybe you can disagree with me, I think they have specific strengths. Number one, the main oil, which even is not enough for Syria, but the main fields of oil, they are in Kurdish area. Second, they have the power of minority. So all minorities can support Kurd. Third, they have the support of the biggest country of the world, the United States, even France support them. Now Israel as a neighbor with its qualitative power, as I told you, and Turkey is very aware about that. But Turkey, I think, can support the governmental forces to fight Kurds under the reasons of, this kind that you don't want to be part of our armed forces, you would like to be independent state or blah, blah, blah. So this is the way. And that's why we expect also that the proxy war, continue inside Syria as well. Maybe also they will try to manage Turkey and Israel. Let's think together, what can we do? Which we call it somehow dividing of influence. But what is the difference between Bashar al-Assad regime when he was there and now? Russia. Russia was a key country. If you would like any country, even the United States, if you'd like to be here, please talk to me. But now, as I advised a few minutes ago, if you'd like to be in Syria, talk to Turkey and Israel. And here, one of the many changes happen now, between what before and what now. So when we talk about Gaza and Lebanon, so I think we believe that this is security situation keep or continue fragile, I'm talking now about Gaza, then I will talk about Lebanon, and no really unified Palestinian state. Still, they are really divided inside, and also the pressure of international and regional increased against Hamas, increased against Palestinian Authority. So that's why it really threatened the Palestinian cause and the two-state solution. In Lebanon, I think that the defeat of Hezbollah and clearing it from South Lebanon is still the main goal. But, by the way, what Israel wants exactly from Lebanon and from sponsors of mediation with Hamas, that Hamas and Hezbollah not only militarily deleted, but also politically. They don't want Hezbollah to be politically partner or a part of the Lebanese government. And also they don't want Hamas or any other group who were fighting them to be part of the political leadership of Palestine, whoever is so-called Palestine, from their opinion. I talked to you about this immigration and its relation with annexation. And that's why we believe that with Trump, I think annexation will continue gradually. Why? If you remember in Trump 1, annexation increased. That's why he said friend of Israel. Netanyahu said about Trump. And now it increased more. There is Adelson, I think, Maria Adelson, she supported Trump in his expression in his election for annexation, but not for war. That's why she is not happy to send war in Israel. But she annexed him to support annexation. That was in Trump 1 and even in Trump 2. And that's why we expect that annexation will continue and never stop. But really, it's red line to some Gulf states and to Egypt as well, because it threatens the national security of Egypt. And for the Gulf states, I think, when you do annexation in the West Bank, do you know which country may be very much affected? Jordan. I don't know if you know or not, I think 40% of the population of Jordan Palestinian, and now suppose, can imagine what will happen when we immigrate more for West Bank to Jordan, what will happen with it? And Jordan is kingdom. So everyone with kingdom ruling must be very aware about that. Now I jump to Israeli strike against Hamas. As you see, so for sure, it's Hamas really did not appreciate strategically how the true power of Israel is, and they couldn't expect much. Why I want to tell you that? War has 4 main elements or axes: information or intelligence, territory, land, power, which are forces, and time. So Israel against Hezbollah, they had the intelligence was, and against Iran, it was very strong. The power, it was very strong. The time they postponed attacking them somehow to finish with Hamas at least 60% of its power. And territory, for sure, they were very afraid because the geography of even inside Iran or inside Lebanon. When it comes to Hamas, they did not have the same strength of intelligence against Hamas. That's why it was difficult to them to invade, Gaza Strip easily as they did, for example, with Lebanon, because not enough information about Hamas. Otherwise, Hamas should not succeed in 7th of October when they attacked them, because they had more information better. And that's why, because we didn't have enough time after 7th October, they lost the time, we didn't have enough information, we don't know what are the new tunnels now inside Gaza, so everybody was surprised why they increased the forces when they attacked Gaza to substitute the shortage of the other 3 elements. And here, Israel, when they attacked Hamas in Qatar, really, they could show how much they increased their intelligence capabilities. And this discovered also that the air defense and warning system in Gulf states maybe needs to be rechecked. But really, the most important point here, what? As Gulf states, they always think that we are the most closest and feeling sponsored by the United States if we are, if you are compared with any other country, Egypt or whatever, even. They never thought about Israel, because Israel is nothing like friend Israel. We have Abraham Accord, or Saudi will have Abraham Accord. But with this strike, it showed what? That Israel is much more important than Gulf states. And this led Gulf states feeling unsecured. And that's why, if you remember when I told you before, they don't want Iran to collapse. Because they need balance of power now. We don't trust you anymore. And we don't trust the one who promised to protect us, which is the United States. I don't trust you as Israel, and I don't trust the United States now. That's why we believe maybe upon that Gulf states are rethinking of the credibility of the security guarantee by the United States. This is a very important point. Also, second, that maybe, we will rethink about it, but we will continue with you. And second one, that Gulf Cooperation Council, as a corporate, 6 states together, that they will try to debate on themselves. And here, something related to Korea, I will say in my recommendations. You will be surprised what is the relation between this and us as Korea. Okay. Oh, sorry. I sent, you didn't put,
I pressed by mistake while speaking. If you go back, you will find the slide.
yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's my fault. It's my fault. Okay. Yeah, now conclusion and recommendation. Yes, if you come one by one. Yeah. Middle East still is unstable. I believe in that. Second, I want to advise you, keep as Korea on your neutrality. As I mentioned, like in Syria, with Egypt. Like, I can give you an example. Suppose that, but be careful with Algeria and Morocco. Be careful with them when you deal with both these countries especially, because really big issues, and your diplomats in these both countries, they can understand very well. So I think, I remember, I don't like to talk about North Korea much, but remember, there is embassy of North Korea, one of them in Egypt, one of them in Algeria. Also, Korea must think about this. Avoid competing China. Why? China is a neighbor. Whatever is the relations between Korea and China, you know it more than me. Everybody here, even non-Korean people. But China, it's a very big country. I believe China sees you as neighbors, but somehow, maybe, some Chinese thinking sees the neighbors as guests in South China Sea. So you have to think how to be also guests in the Middle East not because of China, because the wonderful relation between China and the Middle East. So I have to be wise. In this case, if I stop competing China, I don't say I have to be allied to China, but at least I can, cover the shortage of China once we do with this region. Like, suppose China, they have artificial intelligence, they have whatever kind of aircrafts or these kind of productions, even washing machines or anything, So what are the shortage? I can cover, not to compete, at least in this stage. It's my opinion. Avoid condemning and accusing North Korea and the Middle East. And I was with Dr. Peck talking about that before we come here. Why? It's our Middle Eastern mentality. Some people from the Middle East can understand me here, that we are more educated to like China, to like North Korea. North Korea helped the Syrian regime before in their war. They helped Egypt in October war against Israel. And people never forget that. And at the same time, it's a part of the culture. So in a better way, instead of condemning whoever you so-called enemy, consider also it's like a neighbor and just show yourself. What do you have? What can you cooperate with us? How can we work together? Forget about your enemy in this region, otherwise you will lose your good existence in the region. When it comes to financing, Alhamdulillah, I'm still military. Good. If it comes to facilitate financing and expand the presence of Korean weapons, capabilities, and also even any type of production. When you deal with Middle East, you have to think about something. Any type of production is okay. 4 things, there are main dimensions when you deal with any region as you are producing country. Any producing country, to be honest. Even we have Denmark here and Lithuania and some other countries. Think about this. Quality, speed of delivering, price, right? And also some we call it international or political issues. So maybe because China has very strong relations, if they don't like your existence here, so maybe they will fight you. So think about this. But funding here, maybe Gulf states, they care much about quality and they care much about speedy ways, deliver what you have very quickly. But when it comes to countries like Egypt, for example, funding is very important. So you have to find ways how to give, even by installment through your banks and so. And this is really helps much when you do that. Other thing, suppose that you have, especially weapons here, weapons which has been made by United States and Korea. You cannot sell it easy to any Middle Eastern country because maybe for maintaining balance by United States strategy, remember, tell you no, don't give them this. Whatever the country, maybe even Israel, I don't know. But so it could be like that. So you have to be careful. And also, if some of your Israeli components are in your equipment, you have to be careful also because after the measures, happened especially, even it was made in Taiwan and internally for some reason, whatever, but people don't trust Israeli components anymore like before. And remember, still Israel is not that very friendly in Middle Eastern environment. When it comes also to defense industrial base, the good thing, Korea is unique in something, transferring technology, not only in military equipment, but also in some others. This is very good. That's why I think you have to think about something. The cheap labor, like a big population like Egypt, the capability to include, to contain the technology you have, and this you can find in Gulf states, I think Saudi, Emirates, Qatar, Oman, and others. So you have to think, why? Because this will open the door more to make it easy to sell in this region, which are really thirsty, to have something new. And by the way, not only Egypt, but Gulf states, especially after the strike against Hamas by Israel, they start to think about two main things. Number one, multi-military cooperations, not only with the United States, not only with Russia, not only China, but the Arab states or even non-Arab states like Turkey, like even Iran, they would like to have several, so this good opportunity to Korea. I think the other thing, that multi-source of weapons. What's the difference between military cooperation and multi-source of weapons? Military cooperation, like mutual exercises, mutual training, big maneuvers between us, scholarships, between the two countries. Like if maybe I think there is some measure in Staff College in Egypt and another one here in your Staff College. So this is a cooperation. And weapons, you are aware very well that you need to have from different countries, because as I told you, trust in one source is not very good, especially after Russia has lost its credibility in its industry, not like before, and they uncover themselves, reveal themselves during Ukrainian war. Now, I think this is the last one, or two more, Defense Industrial Program, it is the same. Diversification, as I told you, partnership, military cooperation, as I told you, accelerate presence and exhibition and defense exhibitions, military activities, especially in the countries that Turkey is seeking. By the way, the main competitor to you in our region is Turkey. To Korea. Turkey is the main competitor. So you have to think about who is competitor. You have to study the market very well. One of the countries is Russia, by the way. They wanted to sell of one of the Arab countries a special type of cannons, artillery, and they didn't know that it has been sold by Korea. So you have to study the market very well, also don't do like them. Nature of political relations, as I told you, restrictions is one of the dimensions. You remember I told you cost, speed or delivery, very fast, international, but also restrictions. Let me guarantee to you, a country like Canada, which really I love and respect very much, they used to have 90% of their trade with the United States. And because of Mr. Trump, the very smart man, now they have to change, and they went to the Middle East, and they have to sell, right? But there are some restrictions. So they have to think about, I think so, they will have to think about restrictions. I think also political restrictions, decision makers in Korea, they have to think about when they sell to these regions. I will give you an example, just because you are civilians, most of you, so maybe you don't understand what I mean. Like, for example, if I sell this type of weapons, for example, I will say my country, not to mention any other, to Egypt, so maybe it will go to the conflict in Sudan, civil war. And as Korea was my principles, my value, I don't like that. Think about it, how to protect it, not to be happy, but at the same time, not to stop selling to the country which you like to sell to, right? Finished. Sorry for taking your time, but I wanted to give you all what I have. I hope my way of pronunciating was understood. Thank you so much, and welcome to any questions.